You know, I always feel like I'm going to jinx it when I start an episode off like this, but 8 wins down, 8 to go. For the second year in a row, the Sharks are in the conference final. The question now is whether or not we can make it back to the Stanley Cup final for the second time in as many years. Standing in our way, the Chicago Blackhawks. They were on a tear heading into the playoffs, and they're still looking pretty damn good now. Lineup-wise, we are going to keep things the same. Again, the Gambrell factor could be in play. We looked at the stats at the end of the last episode. You guys know the situation at this point. The big turn of events in the last episode was the addition of Passy released the Kraken, Hacken, and he looked great. Played nearly 23 minutes, or was averaging 23 minutes in the AHL. Played that first game, looked pretty damn good. I wish it wouldn't show the AHL playoff stats. Like, I don't know why it does that. It never used to do that, but okay. You know the situation with this team. We know who the big names are, and we know who needs to perform at a high level for us to be able to make it. But the good thing about this team, of course, is that everyone has shown the ability to step up and carry this team at times. I mean, you don't make it past an Anaheim team that had 45 goals in 12 games unless people can step up. Here's the issue. The Chicago Blackhawks are 8-1 in this postseason and are averaging nearly 4.25 goals for per game. We are at a 3.82. The biggest issue with the Blackhawks, they are averaging the least amount of goals against per game in this postseason thus far. This is a problem. Their power play is at 30%. We have struggled on the power play ourselves, and we have mightily struggled on the penalty kill, whereas they are top. Only 1 goal allowed in 17 kills. Doesn't paint a pretty picture for us, does it? So, I can't help but think that changes to the power play should be made, although we made changes at the tail end of the last episode by dropping Hurdle and adding Cal Foote to the power play, and we're going to hold on to that for now and see whether or not that results in things turning around for us. The 4-man power play, we do need to change up a little bit. Rather than Morrissey, we're going to look to get Cal Foote there because he's been so good offensively. Although because he's a DFD, it's actually not going to work out that well. So never mind. Instead, let's see, who could we put there? I mean, we have all the members of the top 6. I guess, you know what? It's got to be Haken. It's got to be the Hacken. There we go. The penalty kill, that's what I'm afraid of. That's what I'm afraid of. God damn, what do we do here? Like, I don't think I can take Thomas Chabot off of the kill. It's just, how the hell? Maybe we do go with that setup right there. We drop Foodie, bump up Perfetti. I hope that's good enough. I really do. And then, of course, this other setup to the PK is a little bit rough. Getting Thomas Chabot out of there for Foligno should help, or not. Doesn't help as much as I was hoping it would. I don't really know if there's any way for us to get kind of a positive rating out of this. There really isn't, aside from bumping Ellison up. Let's take a look at what we're up against. This Chicago team that has performed to such an elite level so far this postseason. Are we going to be able to overcome them? We overcame Edmonton. We've overcome Anaheim. Now, what about Chicago? And it's not as intimidating on paper as the Ducks are, which is perhaps even scarier. 94 overall, Alex DeBrincat, 13 points in 9 games. Dylan Strome has 17 points in 9 games. Patrick Kane with 15 points, averaging nearly a goal for per game at 38 years old. Second line, Jake Virtanen with 4 points, 8 points for Kirby Dach, and another 8 points for Alex Nylander. Third line is Brock Wise, former first-round pick of the Lightning, next to Casper Simon Tyval and Matt Nieto at 34 years old. Miles Wood, Cody Eakin, and Graham Knott make up a relatively quiet fourth line, which will probably change now in this series because I said that. Defensively, Nick Badan and Adam Boqvist, nothing overly ridiculous in terms of stats. Chad Chris and Ian Mitchell have made up a pretty good second pairing. Alex Carrier and Henry Yokiharu, who is back in Chicago, looking like an interesting third pairing. The goalie is 83 overall, Pyotr Kochetkov. I believe it's Kochetkov. I believe it is. I don't remember. God, he's the Hurricanes goalie, and then there's a goalie on Anaheim, Konovalov. I always confuse the two. He has a .933 save percentage through the 9 appearances. Tristan Lennox, the backup. Now, Mikko Toskala is out due to injury. Relatively unimpressive stat line. Charlie Coyle and Lawrence Pilot are healthy scratches. So, yet again, there is no doubt. In terms of team ratings, we have them beat. I mean, they have a very, very impressive top line. There's no doubt about that. But we're the favorites here, and Toskala is going to be out for this series. He will be back in the Cup final if Chicago were to make it. I really don't know what else there is to say about this situation and about the task at hand. We've seen the matchups. We know that we're the favorites. 5 overall point edge on offense, 6 on defense, 6 in goaltending. Can we solve the special teams wizardry that the Hawks have been able to put together thus far, both offensively and defensively, with the power play and the penalty kill? That is the key to this series. And unfortunately, again, our penalty kill has been a bit of an Achilles heel over the past few postseason runs. We get this series underway. Game 1, home ice. What factor will that play, if any? Probably not a very big one, but we'll see what happens. Of course, we did start off the last episode with 2 straight wins at home. So here we go. First period, advantage San Jose. Connor Ellison picks up where he left off in the last series, gets the first goal of this one. Josh Morrissey doubles the lead. It's 2-0. Shots were relatively close, but so far so good for the Sharks. An early 2-0 lead. Second period, and we blew that lead. 2 power play goals. Patrick Kane and Dylan Strome. Strome scoring from an awful angle, but David Pastrnak, who again we said needed to score more, he woke up in the second series and doing well thus far in the conference final. He gets the goal that puts us back up by 1. We need to stay out of the box in this series. You want to talk about making changes, we get a kill there. You want to talk about making changes, if there's someone who takes a shitload of penalty minutes, I have to take them out, because they are going to kill us in this series, because we can't stop this power play, no matter who the hell we put on the penalty kill, as our power play goes to waste. Again, we used our top line wingers, or our top 2 lines on the penalty kill last year. That didn't work either, and I was hoping, if I just stayed focused on what I was saying, and didn't focus on the time left, that it would work out and we'd hold on to win, and ultimately, we did. A scoreless third period results in a 3-2 victory in Game 1. Shots were just about even, but the scoreboard was not. David Pasternak's second period goal holds up as the winner. Henrik Gustafsson, a shutout in Game 6 against Anaheim, a 33 save effort against Chicago in Game 1. Crucial to our success there. If he plays to that level, we're looking okay, as he, for the most part, shuts down an extremely potent offense. And Haken, good lord, kid's a stud. Only played 11 minutes, but he is something special. 8-3 victory for Montreal in Game 1 over Buffalo, by the way. The Habs, 3 wins away from the Cup final. Game 2. No need for any lineup changes yet. What can we do? Home ice, the Shark Tank, the location. Please, let our top players show up. First period, advantage Chicago. Noah Hannafin gets the opening goal. Graham Knott scores with 1:46 left, and yes, I have already seen it. Patrick Kane scores with 1 second left in the period to give the Blackhawks the advantage. That's a backbreaker. That's devastating. 3 goals within 3:23 of regulation left in the period. 2-1 Chicago. Second period, as we'll quick sim it. 3-2 for the Blackhawks. Cody Eakin, the fourth line. There you go. It wakes up. Eakin makes it 3-1. Steven Stamkos with a late goal on the power play. We have the slight edge in shots. They have the slight edge on the scoreboard. 3-2 as we begin the third period. Can our offense find a way? And can we shut down Chicago from here? Big questions. Power play for the Hawks is killed off. We're halfway through the third. Can we score to force overtime? Simon Tyval. You got to wonder how often it is that we have a power play in the third period. We don't score. They immediately score. But when they have a power play and we kill it off, we don't immediately score. Instead, they still score. Simon Tyval made it 4. Chad Chris with an empty netter makes it 5. And 5-2 is the final. That fourth line woke up. Told you they would. Told you they would. Chekhov with a 29 save efforts. And that is a tale of 2 Gustafsons. That Gustafson shows up, we're screwed. Pretty simple. And just in general, not the offensive output that we need, and a horrifying display from our top line. Just horrific. Absolutely horrific. They were thoroughly dominated in that game as we lose Thomas Chabot to injury. He is out until the 17th. We can't see the date in the top right corner on this menu, but we can see it in the other one. Thomas Chabot goes down. And that raises a pretty interesting question, although does it really? The problem here is that we know Foligno and Benin weren't doing well together. But I can't put Benin in a primetime spot. I can't do it. So he'll be back on the third pair with Foligno and release the Hacken. Passy Hacken up to that top unit. He'll be alongside Cal Foote playing top line minutes. Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for us. Although on the power play, we are going to change it up and swap him and Morrissey just to get the proper lefty-righty dynamic going. We'll see if that works out for us. Big turn of events with Thomas Chabot going down to injury. And this series being tied at 1 apiece. Montreal halfway home to the Stanley Cup final. I mean, we're going to miss at least 3 games worth of Thomas Chabot here. And that could be enough for Chicago to end this series. I am so tempted to make changes for that top line. And I feel like I have to. Fratton's got to sit. We got to bring in Gambrell. I mean, Fratton defensively has been solid, but so was Foudy. So we have to make a change here. Willie Fratton's going to be out. We are going to bring in Dylan Gambrell. And I'm not against having him on the third line. And I think the change we're going to make here is Pasternak and Sillinger. Or do we want to make that change? I'm going to put Kravtsov on the top unit. It would be wise in a way to swap Pasta and Sillinger to keep the +3s, but really it's not going to make that much of a difference. Kravtsov. Do I trust Kravtsov, Hurdle? You know what? I'm going Kravtsov, Stamkos, Pasternak, Meyer, Hurdle, Sillinger. Whether or not that's the right call or not, that's what we're doing. Third line's now Perfetti, Ellison, and Dylan Gambrell. And we'll see what happens. So some forced changes on the defensive side, some changes that I was tempted to make in the last series that I didn't because we ultimately won, but still the warning signs are there after a loss like that. Perhaps a bit overreactionary, but regardless, we jump into Game 3 in Chicago. Control of this series is up for grabs. First period and 2 goals apiece. Matt Nieto scores 51 seconds in. Sillinger gets on the board. Nieto, of course, scoring from center ice. Great game. Ty Foligno gets us back in control of this game, but Alex DeBrincat on the power play makes it 2-2. Both their goals from way downtown. Gustafson needs to wake up. Second period, scoreless. 23 shots to 17 for the Hawks. As we go to the third period, tied at 2. Anyone's ball game, anyone's series. Power play goal, Timo Meier. We needed that one. Oh, we needed that one. Power play for Chicago, a rare kill against that unit. We're halfway through the third, 8 minutes left. Can we hold on here? 4, 3, 2, One final minute. Yes! Let's go, Gustafsson. Timo Meier's power play goal holds up as the winner. And we are back in control of this series. 2-point game from Meier and Sillinger. That new second line clicked pretty well. Gustafsson with a 30-save efforts. And we walk away with the win. Meier and Hertl were great next to Sillinger. That new second line killed it. And thankfully, we didn't have any notable minuses on this team. Unlike a -3, where the prior top line was absolutely ripped apart. So a good win for us there. We are back in control of this series. The question now is what's going to happen in Game 4? Win, loss, win. Can we snap that streak? If we do, we have a stranglehold on this series. Both series currently stand at 2-1. Game 4, still without Thomas Chabot. Let's see what we can do. First period, advantage San Jose, although it didn't look like it when I saw that Chicago had scored 2 goals. A power play goal for Dylan Strome. 42 seconds later, Tomas Hertl ties it. 1 minute and 1 second later on the power play, Alex DeBrincat scores. A little bit over 5 minutes later, nearly 6 minutes later, Vitaly Kravtsov scores. And then halfway home to the end of the period, Steven Stamkos gets us on the board again. 3 goals on 10 shots. A 3-2 lead. Heading into the second period, what a way to start this game in terms of an offensive explosion. Second period, advantage Chicago. Cole Sillinger made it 4-2, but from there, and that was 50 seconds in, from there, another power play goal for DeBrincat. This one was 59 seconds later, and then I talk shit about the fourth line, and every goddamn time it comes back to bite me in the ass. 2 goals for Miles Wood. 5-4 Chicago. Henrik Gustafsson, thanks a lot for being so goddamn inconsistent. 23 shots to 21, 5-4 Blackhawks. Heading into the third period, an early goal for us could help out tremendously. I don't know if I'm exactly holding my breath on that front, though, even though we have the firepower. Power play for the Hawks, killed off. Power play for the Sharks, goes to waste. Abbreviated power play for the Hawks. They don't score on it, but Ian Mitchell scores in the follow-up moments. This series is tied at 2 games apiece. Gregor, a late goal, but it's too little, too late. 1:03 left. 6-5 is your final. We have goaltending show up in any way, shape, or form, we win that game. But we didn't. We just didn't. The center ice goal, shit like that, it didn't help. It really didn't. I wish the question marks over an 86 rated goalie would go the fuck away, but that's just not how this game works. Game 5. This is anybody's series. Montreal with a 6-0 win over the Sabres in Game 4. They're up 3-1 in that series. So, from the looks of it, the winner of this will take on Montreal. The question is, oh God, what the hell? What the hell do we have to do here? What do we have to do? Gambrell hasn't been that bad. I still have some concerns. Hertl's woken up. I just don't know if I trust that top unit. I know it was only 1 game, and that's really not a good enough judgment to know. That second line, though, performed well, so that top line, while I have some concerns, I can't make changes, really. That's just the way it's going to go, and you have to wonder how the loss of Thomas Chabot is affecting us. And whether or not Matt Benin's the guy for us here. He has to be. He has to be. Henrik Gustafsson, step up or we go home. It's pretty simple. Game 5, technically we are at home though. Let's see who will take advantage. This is probably our last game without Chabot. We might be without him until Game 7 if there is one. Who's going to take control of this series again? First period, tied at 1. Pasi Hacken has his first ever NHL goal. It's in a playoff conference final matchup. Fortunately, Matt Nieto scored 1 minute and 10 seconds later. We are tied. Second period is scoreless. God, buckle up. Third period's going to be interesting. 18 shots to 17. Tied on the board. This is anybody's game at this point. We go to the third. Who is going to take control of this game? Who is going to win this game and grab control of this series? Wise scores for the Hawks. Where is this potent offense that we supposedly have? We kill off that penalty. Noah Gregor stepping up. Oh, God. Oh, God. Kirby Dach scores for Chicago. And the Blackhawks have a 3-2 series lead. Son of a bitch. You're going to get outmatched by Chetkov, huh? That's what's happening? 13 shots. I might sit Gustafsson for Game 6. I got to be honest. I might sit Gustafsson for Game 6. Thomas Chabot's healthy. And we're battling for our lives. We have to win the next 2 games, or this series is over, and that could be in more ways than one. I don't know if I can trust Henrik Gustafsson to bail us out here. I don't know if I can. You know what Jesper Eliasson did for us last season. He was great. And we might need him to be great again. Chabot will obviously take his spot on the top unit. And Matt Benin will be out for Hacken. God damn it. Foligno hasn't been great outside of playing with Thomas Chabot. It just makes me wonder if there's, if this setup might be the way to go. And I know it's a bit of a risk, but it's like, man, changing things for the sake of changing things just to hope for the best, that's honestly not the worst idea right now. It really isn't. I know Cal Foot's been phenomenal, but he's been a little bit more quiet. It's tough to take him off of that top unit. But I don't know what else to do. Because otherwise, we put Haken with, and not that, again, Fleury or Foligno, it's just been so basic. So, I could give the spot to Strimbu, but I just don't think he's ready. I'm going with that defense. What do we do? What do we do here? What on earth do we do here? I feel like these have to be the players. These have to be the players in these roles. But what happens from there? 8 points for Heinonen, the 6 for Gregor. What if we put Gregor on the left, Gambrell at center? And then Heinonen as a grinder doesn't really fit in. 10 points there, 9 points there. The top 6 has to stay the top 6 because of how good they've been. But we could just move Heinonen to be a two-way. And that would solve that issue. Of course, he has a wicked shot. And say we put Ellison there, Cole Perfetti there. Because we know Perfetti can play center. Ellison's slightly better. I'm going to reward Heinonen for the fact that he's been scoring goals. He only has 4, but he has 8 points. We're going to change him to a two-way. We just need to hope for some sort of freaking spark, man. I know, like, this might be drastically overreacting, but what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? I know what you want me to do, and that's not be reactionary, but sorry. No, so the only other answer is to not start Gustafsson. And we have to ride a goalie like that. So everything else has to change around him. Okay. I know what some people might be saying too, take Gambrell out. And in fairness, you might not be wrong. Granted, Fratton, it's not as if Gambrell's been out of place and been a detriment. If anything, he gives us a slightly better chance. It makes that fourth line absolutely unbelievable. Out of these 6, who's been the best? 14, 12, and fucking 14 points for Cole Sillinger. Pasternak's on 14, 15, and a ridiculous number for Kravtsov. And we're going to go Kravtsov, Stamkos, Sillinger. I just don't trust that top unit. Kravtsov, Hurdle, Sillinger, Meyer, Stamkos, Pasternak. That's the team. If they can't win, then I don't know what to tell you. It's Game 6. It's all on the line. We have lost the lead in this series twice. Now it's our turn to battle back and get it back to even, or our season is done. First period of Game 6, and a 3-0 lead. Meyer, Perfetti, and Gregor. Holy crap. Whoo, boy. You always change up the lines and it never works. Well, it worked in that first period, didn't it? Timo Meyer scores early. Perfetti scores less than a minute later. Noah Gregor, one of the stars of this series. And look, we talked about the Channel Hall of Fame. I didn't do it much last year, and in fairness, it's because there might not have been that many Channel Hall of Famers for NHL 19. You can look back at like the Vegas series and be like, well, this guy, maybe. I don't know if there are any Channel legends for this series. Kravtsov and Gregor probably, and Erik Karlsson probably have the best shout. But then again, if they go down without winning anything, does it really count? Second period, for the love of God, if we're tied after 40. They only get one. Alex Nylander. Sweet on sweet violence. We go to the third up by 2. Just about even in shots. Our season is on the line. This series is on the line, again, in more ways than one. Here we go. Gustafsson, you have to show up. Power play, Timo Meyer has awoken. We're back up by 3. Can we hold on? David Pasternak. There will be a Game 7. The winner goes on to play Montreal in the Stanley Cup Final. There will be a Game 7. 5-1 is your final score. The Sharks show up. Henrik Gustafsson shows up. Timo Meyer, Noah Hanifin. We needed players to show up. More players on the score sheet than not. Shockingly, Kravtsov was one of the ones who did not put up a point. Josh Morrissey was phenomenal. And Henrik Gustafsson played to the best of his abilities. And if he does that, we're going to the Stanley Cup Final. Oh my God. Here's the issue. I can't cliffhanger this. Because I don't think there's an off-season upcoming if we lose. I think this is it. So we have to do this right here and right now. Because if I were to cliffhanger it and we were to lose, it'd be a pretty damn short episode, and it'd be pretty goddamn obvious that we lost. So this is happening. We're leaving the lines the same. It worked. Meyer, Stamkos, and Pasternak was phenomenal for us. Foligno, again, doesn't look out of place next to Thomas Chabot. This is it. So many seasons of disappointment. Losing in the first round. We've only made the second round 3 times. We've only made the third round twice. The first time we made it all the way to the Cup Final where we fell short. This time, Game 7. Will we make it back to the Cup Final? Or does this end here? Does this end here? And if it does end here, maybe there will be a stream. Maybe there will be a video to see, okay, what would have happened the next season or 2. Here we go. Or just maybe we win, and there's a Stanley Cup video coming out soon. First period of Game 7 on home ice is scoreless. 15 shots to 9. Kochetkov standing in there. Could be Kochetkov, I guess. Come on, please. Please win this. Second period, advantage San Jose. Vitaly Kravtsov. 1 minute and 58 seconds in. Steven Stamkos makes it 2, but Patrick Kane with 1:08 left in the period gets Chicago on the board. 28 shots to 18, but a 2-1 lead for the Sharks. We go to the third period of Game 7 on home ice. What the hell's going to happen? Power play for the Hawks. It's killed off. Come on, please. Please. Please, we're halfway through. 9, 8, 7. Patrick Kane scores. Cole Perfetti scores. 3, 2, What? Yes! Oh, thank God! Oh, my God. The Chicago Blackhawks fall in 7. Cole Perfetti is the hero for the second year in a row. The San Jose Sharks are going to the Stanley Cup Final. Patrick Kane, in probably his last game ever, put up one hell of a fight, but it was too little too late. Holy shit. 2 years in a row. There will be one more episode of this series. And standing in our way in the Stanley Cup Final, the Montreal Canadiens. I will see you guys on Tuesday for the finale of this series.